Then who was the king? Who was not the king? Igigi, Imi, Nanum, Ilulu, 4 of them ruled for only 3 years. It is unknown whether Sharkalishari had an heir or not, but following his death, it appears that large turmoil ascended in Akkad. Several claimants to the throne quickly arose, neither being able to hold crown for long. Unfortunately, nothing is known about these rulers except their names, and the fact that the Akkadian Empire started rapidly disintegrating. The first among them was Igigi, who apparently managed to hold the throne for only about a year, after which he vanished from the historical record. By 2192, the kingship was taken by Imi, who was in turn quickly succeeded by another rival named Nanum in 2191 BCE. Already in 2190, Nanum was no more, with Ilulu becoming the new ruler of Akkad. Just like his predecessors, nothing is known about Ilulu apart from his name. It has been hypothesized that Ilulu could perhaps be the same as Ilulmesh, the Gutian king of the same period. When it comes to the Gutians, they made full use of Akkad's disintegration and started breaking into Sumer, eventually establishing their own powerful dynasty. Whether Ilulmesh managed to break into Akkad itself and for the time being make himself the ruler of it remains unknown. What's certain is that Ilulu did not manage to hold the Akkadian throne for more than a year himself, being deposed by Dudu, who subsequently made himself the new king of Akkad in 2189 BCE. It has been suggested, although not proven for certain, that Dudu himself was a member of the Sargonic dynasty, being either a descendant or relative of Sharkalishari. Either way, Dudu did bring some stability back to the kingdom, which was at that point greatly weakened and vulnerable. Akkadians did appear to still exercise at least nominal control over as far as Mari in Upper Mesopotamia, whose rulers still used the title Shakanaku or military governors, assigned to them by Akkad during the reign of Manishtushu. King Dudu had a goal of restoring the imperial glory and inevitably set his sights southwards towards Sumer. The former Akkadian subjects were now independent city-states, something that Dudu aimed to reverse back with force. It is unknown whether Dudu also battled the Gutians at this time or not, since unfortunately we are left with very little record of the events that took place around this time. What we do know is that a seal with Dudu's inscription has been found at the site of Adab, suggesting that the Akkadians still controlled the city. It reads, "Dudu the Mighty, King of Akkad, Amarshuba the Scribe is his servant." The following military campaign was directed towards the cities of Uma and Girsu, both located in the southern part of Sumer. The fate of the campaign is unfortunately unknown. In the style of Sharkalishari, Dudu claimed victory, although it is unlikely that he was actually able to reconquer all of Sumer. However, he did seem to defeat and sack the city of Girsu, as recorded on his inscription from Nippur. To goddess Ishtar, Dudu, king of Akkad, when Girsu he smote from the booty of Girsu, he dedicated it. It is likely at some time after this point that Dudu felt powerful enough to start calling himself the Great King, as opposed to simply King of Akkad, which he did earlier during his reign. This is evident in another dedication to the gods that he made, which reads as follows: Dudu, the Great King of Akkad, for Nergal of Apiak, has dedicated this. Despite being a much more capable ruler than his last 4 predecessors, Dudu could only do so much at the time of crisis. He did appear to preserve much of the territory that he inherited, and even claimed victories in military campaigns, which resulted in him adopting the title of the Great King. However, the writing was already on the wall for the Akkadians, who now barely had a fraction of the resources and military might they once did, and were increasingly surrounded by powerful enemies on the rise. After 20 years in power, Dudu passed away in 2169 BCE and was succeeded by his son and the final king of Akkad, Shu-Turul. Upon ascending to the throne, the new king was faced with challenges on multiple fronts. The Elamites were now not only independent, but already making incursions into Sumer, the territory claimed by the Akkadian king. The Gutians were likewise mounting pressure on the Akkadian holdings in Sumer. Shu-Turul reportedly exercised control over Kish, Nippur, and Ashnuna, and likely Adab at least at the beginning of his reign. This is reinforced by a tablet found in Adab, containing Shu-Turul's year name, highlighting the year when Shu-Turul assumed the kingdom. Several other inscriptions with Shu-Turul's name were found throughout the Akkadian territories, such as those in Kish, Nippur, Ashnuna, and others. Most of them describe Shu-Turul as Shu-Turul the Mighty, King of Akkad. The king's name was also notably described on a dedication of a temple to Nergal, the god of war, disease, and death. It reads, "To Nergal, for the life of Shu-Turul, king of Akkad, Labairishum, the palace soothsayer, has dedicated this." In Mesopotamian religion, Nergal was also the ruler of Kur, or the underworld, and such dedication bearing a name of the king did not always necessarily signal the good news. In southern Sumer, the city of Uruk notably rose in power under Ur-Nigin, a powerful Ensi who saw a perfect opportunity for his own expansion. Not much is known about Ur-Nigin, other than within short time span he became the most powerful ruler in Sumer, also becoming the biggest threat to the declining power of Akkad. Shu-Turul, already weakened by the Gutians, found himself in a gravely vulnerable position. He had no choice but to face the ruler of Uruk in a battle where winner takes all. In 2154 BCE, the army of Ur-Nigin met the forces of Akkad on the field of battle. The outcome was decisive victory of Uruk. The Akkadian Empire was no more, with the final nail in the coffin reportedly put by Ur-Nigin. The Sumerian king list describes the fall of Akkad as follows. Shu-Turul, the son of Dudu, reigned for 15 years. Then Akkad was defeated and its kingship carried off to Uruk. In Uruk, Ur-Nigin reigned for 7 years. The fate of Shu-Turul is unknown. It is possible that he fell together with his empire, as there is no more mention of him after this point. Ur-Nigin established what is known as the 4th dynasty of Uruk, although his reign lasted only 7 years. He was succeeded by his son, Ur-Gigir, who in turn reigned only 6 years, as was the case with several successors, until the whole region was consumed by the Gutian invaders. Ur-Gigir, son of Ur-Nigin, reigned 6 years. Kuda reigned 6 years. Puzur-Ili reigned 5 years. Ur-Utu reigned 6 years. Uruk was then smitten with weapons, and its kingship carried off by the Gutian hordes. What followed is what many consider to be the Sumerian Dark Age, where the Gutian dynasty centered in Adab held hegemony, and very little is known about the events that ensued. Ultimately, Sumerians would defeat the Gutian kingdom and establish the 3rd dynasty of Ur, also known as the Neo-Sumerian Empire. The Akkadian legacy was immense, and it continued to live on. The title King of Sumer and Akkad continued to be used by the Neo-Sumerian rulers, as they laid claim to be successors of the empire founded by Sargon. The Akkadian language remained the lingua franca of Mesopotamia and of international diplomacy for several millennia, including the great kings of Babylon, the Hittites, Assyria, and even the pharaohs of Egypt. The Akkadian government institutions were considered the golden standard, which all future empires in Mesopotamia looked to model themselves upon. The empire built by Sargon may have lasted for 180 years, but his legacy still lives to this day.